The Supreme Court, as it stands right now, is a disaster for a lot of reasons that you're probably familiar with. First of all, the conservatives have a 6-3 majority right now that's gonna last an incredibly long time, and for probably decades into the future is going to be positioned to undo progressive gains if we ever actually get in a position to have some of them. On top of that, you have multiple people serving on the Supreme Court that have been credibly accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault, substance abuse issues, a number of issues. You're familiar with all that, but there is one more problem with the Supreme Court that doesn't actually have to do immediately with a member of the Supreme Court, but with one of their wives actually. Ginny Thomas, wife of Clarence Thomas, has a number of problems of her own that could cause problems for what the Supreme Court ends up doing. So you should know a little bit about her. First of all, she has declared that America is in existential danger because of the deep state and the fascist left, which includes transsexual fascists. So that's a lot right there. Now that doesn't necessarily make her any crazier than any random person you might see on Fox News on a given night, but she is also one of the directors of C.N.P. Action, a dark money wing of the conservative pressure group, the Council for National Policy. That group connects wealthy donors with some of the most radical right-wing figures in America. So she is very involved in Republican politics, enthusiastic about it, but also puts other people's money where her mouth and thoughts are. So that has led to multiple potential conflicts of interest. We're not gonna go through all of them, but we can give you some of the details. So though at the time nobody knew about it, Ginny Thomas was an undisclosed paid consultant at the conservative pressure group, the Center for Security Policy, when its founder, Frank Gaffney, submitted an amicus brief to the court supporting Trump's Muslim travel ban. In 2019, she announced a political project called Crowdsourcers and said that one of her 4 partners would be the founder of Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. Project Veritas tried to embarrass progressives by making secret videos of them, and last year petitioned the court to enjoin Massachusetts from enforcing a state law that bans the surreptitious taping of public officials. Now, in addition to those where clearly there were potential causes of a conflict of interest for her that could transfer over to Clarence Thomas, we also have the possibility that in the future, the Supreme Court could rule on a number of different issues or cases involving January 6th. And her ties to January 6th, her position on it, should be very worrisome. In a post on January 6th, she linked to a news item about the protest at the Capitol, writing, quote, "Love MAGA people." Her next status update said, "God bless each of you standing up or praying." 2 days after the insurrection, she added a disclaimer noting that she'd written the post before violence in the US Capitol. And surely she's changed her mind about the entire movement and endeavor because of what she saw. Anyway, there is more to this, but I wanted to get your thoughts about Ginny Thomas potentially talking with Clarence Thomas, who we know recently hasn't recused himself in cases having to do with Trump and January 6th, that arguably a case could be made he should be forced to.
Yeah, so look, let's dispense with the obvious. She and Clarence Thomas are lunatics, transsexual fascists. What the hell is that? Left-wing fascists? No, fascists are by definition right-wing. So you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're incredibly ignorant. And so I've got no patience for any of that. The second obvious thing is Clarence Thomas says, the charge that we are political is outrageous. Oh, shut up. You vote with the Republican Party in the court cases approximately 100% of the time. I'm sure it's a wild coincidence, okay? No one believes you, you're a liar, okay? And you're deeply political. Okay, now, second thing that is important here in this story is, look, they hate us. And so we're supposed to smile and get beyond it. She's in favor of the Muslim men. She would have banned my family from coming here. She hates me. But if, by the way, if I say I hate Ginny Thomas back, everybody will be outraged. What, how dare you? She's one of the elites. Of course she's allowed to say you shouldn't exist, you shouldn't be in this country. And she's allowed to say that transsexuals shouldn't exist and completely invalidate their identity. Well, okay, you hate us, Ginny Thomas, I hate you. If you're gonna be outraged by that, I welcome your tears. I'll collect them and drink them. I don't care about you. You hate us and you wanna make that part of America and put that poison in our system. And now you planted a Supreme Court justice who pushes out that hate 24/7 in his decisions. So I got no interest in you. But now let's talk about the biggest problem here. Guys, she's working for right-wing organizations. They're funneling money to the Thomas family. Oh, look at this. We happen to find a really good activist on our side, and we're giving her a ton of money. Oh, I guess her husband's a Supreme Court justice. We didn't notice. That's not bribery either. Sure it isn't.
Yeah, I'll say Jenny Thomas has every right in her individual capacity to practice her free speech, to believe what she believes, to be involved in the activism that she does, no matter how heinous and disgusting it is, and to sit on the board of whatever organizations it is that she wants to sit on the board of. However, that creates a conflict of interest for her husband, Clarence Thomas, which he should be disclosing, particularly when it comes to the Muslim ban. It passed on very shaky legal grounds. Most legal scholars, I mean, my constitutional law professor harped on this repeatedly last semester, that it was very sus how this passed. As far as the legal justification for it goes, it seemed ridiculous. So if she is whispering in his ear at night, hey, I hate brown people, don't let them into this country, that is objectively a conflict of interest for him, especially if she's working with organizations that were publicly opposing allowing people from these majority Muslim countries to enter the United States, especially if she was getting money from organizations that were, holding that position. It absolutely poses a ethical issue for him as a Supreme Court justice to sit on the bench and hear these cases. And the fact that he doesn't see that same issue is very, very concerning.
One quick thing on that. Rayvon is so right that it's absurd. Look, you could have any job, Jenny Thomas can have any job she wants, okay? But if she's getting paid to push policy positions and Clarence Thomas is benefiting from that money that is going directly into his pocket, of course he can't rule on those cases. If people are paying him to hate Muslims and to ban them from the country, they're literally paying his family to do that. He can't then rule on a case where you ban Muslims. It's the most obvious thing in the world. The only people who wouldn't acknowledge that are the people who enjoy corruption.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.